In the run-up to a game's release, I always do my best to be as positive, optimistic, and as hopeful as possible. I try to remember all of the context, all of the factors that play into development. Always try and look at the bigger picture, but somehow I still end up a little disappointed when things like this happen. Now, before I jump into this, let me state that I am a huge Rocksteady fan. I've played and enjoyed everything that they have put out, and that even includes Urban Chaos all the way back in 2006. And it's been a while since they've put out a game. Arkham Knight was in 2015, and they've been working on this game for... I don't want to say they've been working on it for the entirety of the 8 years since Arkham Knight came out, because I don't know, obviously, all the facts in that. But yeah, who knows how long they've been working on this. The amount of time that they've spent working on it is kind of irrelevant. The point that I'm trying to get to is it's been a while since they've put something out. I'm a huge fan of what they've put out previously. And so as time has moved on, I've only grown more curious, more excited to, see what this thing was, see how this was all going to play out. Because although the initial idea of a Suicide Squad game didn't really interest me that much, my faith in this studio and the stuff that they've put together sort of swept all of that under the carpet. What also didn't help was that we knew from quite far back now that it was going to be like a 4-player co-op game. I have no issue with co-op games per se. The trouble is, modern day co-op games, they're basically live service battle pass games. That's what modern day co-op is. Nobody makes a co-op game just because they want you to experience playing a game with your friends anymore. It's like, we want to create something that you and all your friends can spend hours and days and months in. We want to create something that you and all of your friends can get super addicted to and throw a whole bunch of money at in terms of microtransaction. We've been around in this phase of the industry long enough to know the signs. But we hadn't seen a ton of Suicide Squad's gameplay. We hadn't seen a ton yet of exactly how it worked. There's a few trailers that have existed out there, but they've mainly been cutscenes and flashes of gameplay. And last night's State of Play was the first time that we've seen like a full mission play out. And while I was initially excited at the idea of a new game from Rocksteady and its big budget, and it looks very nice, I should say that, like in terms of production, it looks fantastic. There's clearly a lot of effort and work that's been put into this, so I'm not taking anything away from the people that are working on this game. More just sharing my concerns or sharing my slight disappointment in the direction that this game is going. Now, if you followed me on here for any time at all, then you already know my opinion on multiplayer-focused, live-servicey stuff. So I'm not going to go into that. But after watching the latest reveal, trailer, sort of deep dive on the gameplay, I feel like my fears for this game have been basically confirmed now. So I'll probably have footage from that trailer playing here so you can see what I'm talking about. But I suppose what I'm trying to get at is that I don't actually have any issue with multiplayer stuff, co-op stuff. I don't have an issue with games of this nature. I just always look at them as a bit of a missed opportunity. And I kind of feel like we're seeing the Avengers game, like that whole thing, play out all over again. Because when you build games like this, where you need to account for 4 players, or the potential of up to 4 players, all doing their own thing, all running off in their own direction. They all need somebody to fight. They all need something to do. Nobody can be ridiculously more powerful than anybody else. Like, it kind of limits it. And when I'm watching this gameplay, I'm seeing 4 characters that are very different in the comics, have very different abilities and powers and styles of combat. And in this game, they all kind of look the same because they have to. They have to be in a similar vein because then otherwise, the loot, the weapons and all that stuff isn't interchangeable. So like an example is everybody's sort of flying through the air. Not literally flying, they all have like different means of like, Harley Quinn's got like a grapple gun and swings around, and Captain Boomerang, is using his boomerang to like teleport from place to place. Deadshot has got his jetpack, and everybody's just kind of flying around and whizzing around the city in a similar fashion. They've all got guns, despite one of them being a giant shark man, who they describe as a tank type character that can get up close and, really mix it. Like, he's a shark. I'm not massively familiar with King Shark and, his backstory and everything that he gets up to in the comics. I hope I'm making a bit of a point when I say that they've taken a bunch of comic book characters with a variety of powers and abilities, yet they are all flying around with assault rifles. Like, does that sentence sum it up well? I hope it does. Like, Harley Quinn, to the best of my knowledge, just runs around with like a bat or a mallet. I've not seen her use guns too many times, but that could just be my limited knowledge on the character. Deadshot, of course, is a weapons specialist. He's an assassin, so it makes sense for him to have guns. In fact, really, there's an argument to say that he should be the only one that has guns. Like, shouldn't Captain Boomerang just be flinging boomerangs at people? The overall point that I was trying to make is that when you make games like this, the characters also have to play like this. They all have to be in a sort of similar vein, but they also have like a unique special ability. I'm sure if you hit L1 and R1 at the same time, Harley Quinn's going to pull out a bat and, take out like 8 people, and then that will be on some meter that will recharge. Like, I'm sure that's how all that will play out. But on top of that, because you also need to account for up to 4 players interacting with all the enemies in this world, like, you also can't really give the enemies that much depth, because you can't really interact with them one-on-one. You need to account for multiple players attacking the same enemy at the same time. And so because of that, the only real way that you can give enemies depth is by giving them a shield or just giving them a massive life bar so that everybody needs to pile on and take them out. And all you've got all these other smaller enemies that you can take down in one hit and feel really powerful, and that's basically what we saw in this trailer. Let me be clear, I don't think this is going to be like a bad game or a train wreck or a mess. I'm more just kind of saying, I feel like this is going to be one of those games that will feel like a missed opportunity. Like, I don't constantly want to bring up Avengers, but it is a great comparison because this is showing all of the same sign. The devs are talking about weapon skins and all these like cosmetics, and we know sort of from leaks that it's going to have a battle pass, and they probably want to build out this game long term that way. They mentioned something about DLC characters. I'm not sure how that's going to work. I don't think it went too well for Avengers. But I mean, the idea of a battle pass, the word battle pass or season pass, feels like one of those words if you mention it in connection with your game, then you like instantly strike off like a few thousand copies sold. But I just can't help but feel like there's not even a word to describe it other than just, that's it, that sound there. I don't know if this direction for the game was a choice by Rocksteady or something that the publishers sort of pushed them to do. Like, I don't want to get into all that. It is what it is. And I get it. People have to make money. You've got to find a way to keep the lights on. You've got to find a way to keep this thing moving. You've got to find a way to make a return on your investment. I get all that. But when you're watching the cutscenes and all of this great work with the characters and just this really cool story-driven stuff, this is a spin-off, technically, of the Arkham franchise. This takes place like 5 years after Arkham Knight. And they did such a good job with building out that world. And, they probably will do. I'm sure the story will be fine. Because the game, like I said, it does look great in its cutscenes, and like I said, clearly a lot of talent and effort and work gone into that stuff. I see the stuff going on in between the missions and the stakes that they set with the story, especially at the end of this trailer. I mean, the game is literally called Kill the Justice League. And then you pull out of the cutscene and it's King Shark jumping on a roof with a shotgun. Like I said at the top of this video, like I always do my best to be as positive and as optimistic, and I do my best not to let this cynical side of me win. It's more just me sharing my disappointment, really. And I don't mean that in any disrespect to anybody working on this game. I'm talking from a very subjective, personal perspective here. Because Rocksteady, in my opinion at least, has put out some of the best modern, borderline modern, depends on your definition of modern, but some of the best modern single-player experiences ever. Like, Arkham City should be in a Hall of Fame somewhere. So we know they have the talent to put something great like that together. So this is not me saying that, I think this game is now going to suck. It's more my disappointment in saying, now this is a game that I am less interested in. We're not that far away from its release. What is it, end of May, something like that? So we're just in a wait-and-see position now. But what do you guys think? Do you like what you saw? More excited? Slightly disappointed? Let me know. That's going to be it for this video. I've been Inept Saiyan. You as always have been a wonderful audience, and I hope to catch you next time.